Welcome back, everybody. We are doing another behind the scenes look at the Castle Panic Deluxe Collection coming to Kickstarter soon. And today I want to do something a little bit different with y'all. I'm going to talk about imps. So if you've played the original game, here, look at it there. That's an imp. Just this little 1 point purple monster. Comes at you, not the end of the world. Here's the new art, by the way, for what he's going to look like in the new game. Isn't that awesome? I'll show you the mini tomorrow. I can't do. I only have the digital version. I can't do that live on Facebook when I'm doing this. So instead, I'm just going to talk about it because I think imps are kind of fascinating. Um, I am always looking for ways to, I won't say torture you guys, but give you crazy new challenges when you're playing Castle Panic. How do we hit you with something wacky and weird and bump up the threat level? And one of the things I wanted to do pretty much right after we finished original Castle Panic was I wanted to have this like idea of like a nuisance monster, like a little tiny thing that would come at you. Excuse me, sort of pepper you with challenges rather than go for a really big guy. We had plans for like Agronach and the really big monsters. I wanted to hit you with some kind of consistent wave. To use the StarCraft term, I wanted to Zerg rush my players with something like that. They hit them with this mob of monsters. And so we started coming up with this idea of, okay, we already have goblins. What else can we do that's different that challenges people this way? And playing around with it, one of the things that came up was I wanted this to be the kind of thing where they would come out in big numbers. Now, to some extent, we already have that in the game with the draw 4 and the draw 3 and all that. Even the Goblin King, they just make you draw more monsters. But the challenge there is that those guys are drawing randomly from the bag of monsters. So you might get troll mages and boulders and all that. And I really wanted this experience to be, here comes a whole bunch of little guys. And so playing around with that, it quickly became apparent we couldn't have this just be something that's sitting in the bag. You can't just pull it out and say, all right, here's this thing. We needed to have the supply of these monsters separated from the regular pile of creatures. So that's why when you get the game, there's this pile of imps you have off to the side, and they're not part of the regular monsters. They don't count towards the total you have to defeat. They also can't be kept for treasure. When you kill an imp, it's gone forever. It gets discarded back into that pile, and they theoretically can come back over and over again. This freed us up to then play with how do we introduce them, and that's one of the neat things too in the game is you'll never draw an imp out of the bag. It just doesn't happen. They're not in there. Instead, you're going to get other monsters are going to summon these imps out, right? So you're going to pull like the Conjurer. That's a monster that magically summons imps by a die roll. So you might get 1, you might get 6. Then we've got 1 imp per tower that basically says, how well are you doing in the game? We're about to make it harder, and literally puts an imp in every arc of the forest where you have a tower still standing. And then there's the Hydra, one of the mega boss monsters. Every time you damage the Hydra, not slay, just hit it, it pops out 2 imps in the forest behind it. We can talk about the Hydra later. That was a different, challenging monster to come up with. But anyway, the idea being there's a bunch of ways imps can get spawned in the game, but not just from drawing them. So you're going to have to deal with this whole, pop thing like that. This worked really well. In testing, very quickly, we realized that there were this problem of like, well, you're going to have this monster on the board, but it's also going to bring these other guys. You're going to have this wave of monsters. And that got us where we wanted with these fun little filler horde guys. Now, if you've played Wizard Tower, you know it's a pretty big pile. Specifically, it's 18 imps. Now, you may be thinking, why on earth did we give you 18 imps? Why not like 20 or 10 or whatever? Well, the trick is there is a worst case scenario where you will actually need 18 imps in the game. This would be where you draw the Conjurer and you roll the dice and you get a 6. So that's 6 imps. Then you would get the 1 imp per tower and you've still got all your towers standing. So that's 6 more imps. And then the Hydra, when it comes out, every time you hit it, like I said, it pops out 2. Now it's a 4-point monster, but it doesn't put out imps on its last health. When you kill it, it doesn't spawn anymore. So it would put out 6. So that's 18. Now, I've been playing Wizard Tower for a long time. It came out in 2011. I've never had a game where all the imps came out. If you have, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. I have had a couple of games and demos we played where we got very close, but I've never actually used all the imps at once because, like I said, it's a worst case perfect storm kind of thing where you literally have to have all that happen. By the way, when the Hydra comes out, if your plan is to just hit him a whole bunch, that's a really terrible strategy. You don't want to do that. You want to hit the Hydra like the Barbarian or something and just kill it as fast as you can. That peppering of imps, it's never bad when it first happens. The problem is the 3 turns later when those imps are now, knocking on your swordsman ring, banging into your wall. And of course, if you got to move or push them forward or whatever, you're going to be even worse off from there. So yeah, that is why you get a mountain of these little guys, which is soon going to be a mountain of these little guys. And so a little bit of strategy if you are thinking, yeah, imps are a pain. I mean, They're like a goblin in the sense that they're only 1 point, so you can kind of deal with them the same way. Maybe you can let them hit your wall or your fortify if it's worth it, but otherwise you probably need to pepper them. The real trick though is because they die fast with those 1 points, wizard cards are really the best way to get rid of those guys. If you can hit them with one of the ones that hits multiple monsters, you can just clean house on those guys, as I'm sure you've seen when you've hopefully won the game. Anyway, I just wanted to share some thoughts with you on imps and show you the new art because they're awesome and I love them, and I think it's a fun little way to have these things pop out. And I've had people ask before, why don't you just put the imps in the bag? And this is why. This gives us the ability to control how they come out and make sure they come like that rush I originally wanted. So, if it has killed your towers before, you're welcome. I'm so sorry. But otherwise, that's that. Be back tomorrow with more goodness. And until then, y'all take care. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.